Bonjour et bienvenue à un autre extrait de la conférence de Fred Gallo sur l'accès à la santé et le principe Michelange. Je m'appelle Christiane aussi, je suis psychologue, psychothérapeute et également hypnothérapeute à l'Institut Milton Erickson au Luxembourg. Voilà, l'accès à la santé et le principe Michelange. Voici un titre bien particulier. Quel est le lien en fait entre une thérapie orientée ressources comme la psychothérapie ericksonienne, l'hypnothérapie ericksonienne ou aussi la psychologie énergétique et l'art, cette approche artistique tellement spéciale et extraordinaire de Michel-Ange? Venez découvrir.
Michelangelo had this idea, and I guess this is a direct quote from him. He was sculpturing an angel, and he said, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set her free." So he saw it as the figure was already there in the stone, that he wasn't making it, he was just freeing it. He would see it there. He believed it was there. And then he freed it. And the same kind of principle applies to working with your client. So think of it as the soul and health are within the client. So now, if I'm working with a client and they're really, as I said earlier, discombobulated, okay, they're stressed, they're distressed, they're depressed, they're anxious, they're panicked. And I focus on that. If that's what I'm really paying attention to, then I'm going to synchronize to that. You're going to synchronize to that. And all that's going to do is reinforce more of the same. If I or you, if we keep our eye on the soul, the health within the person, if we really believe that in our heart and soul, that's really there. So you notice this kind of, excuse the phrase, the kind of craziness around it, okay? The client is caught up in this, the patient is caught up in this, but I'm keeping my eye on this health within. My energy is going to stay stronger. You know, I've done this in workshops where I'll have a therapist and a client will be there. So somebody comes up and role plays their very difficult client. And so I'll do some muscle testing. And I'll as the client, the quote client is going on, the therapist generally tests weak. And because they get caught up in the moment of that distress. Then what I do is I take the therapist aside and I say, I'm going to tell the therapist the secret of life. And the secret of life is the soul and health within. So I tell them about that. And I say, now you don't have to really do anything other than just be there with that awareness and just keep your eye on that soul. And I say, sometimes, you know, what I do is I just sometimes look toward the person's heart at times and just to kind of anchor that for myself, that I see that health within the person. So anyway, the therapist is there. And now they can do anything. They could be reading the telephone numbers. They could just be nodding, or they could be smiling, or they can just listen. They could ask questions, or they could use a technique, whatever, you know. But they've got a certain kind of, the term might be a milieu. They're in a certain state that's the best state for delivering. And so what happens is the therapist tests strong, and the client tests weak, and the therapist tests strong, and the client tests a little less weak, and and it keeps going on. Next thing you know, the therapist still tests strong, and the client starts testing strong, which is very, very interesting. And I'd say about 99 times out of 100, that's the way it goes. Maybe it's only 97 times out of 100, but the client starts to catch up with what's going on with the therapist. And then when they're in that kind of a state, the delivery really works. Okay, so then your technique can work or whatever. So that's what I'm calling the Michelangelo principle.